We'll be discussing a lot this time around transfer rumors within West Nile and of course in the local scene, and at the same time the national team. You did see how exactly they performed in the friendly that they had in Ethiopia, but a lot in the international way. Of course, Harry Kane has got his moments of play, but he's still saying he's staying with Tottenham Hotspur. What about Manchester City having a very good run, but of course couldn't do much in the weekend game? And at the same time, I want to tell you that Cristiano Ronaldo is back in Manchester United. But how will Manchester United look like? That's one of the biggest questions someone would be asking. What about Arsenal? They are number 20. What is the problem? All those will be coming right here on That Is the Whistle Time. But of course, let me turn the focus away from there and usher in my brother, Oscar, the Brazilian. Most welcome, brother. It's been a while.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a while, and of course, sometimes it's good to take a break.
You look okay. You look okay. What?
I've always been. I've always been. But it's a pleasure anyway. One of the things that I've been so much focusing on is why Arsenal find themselves rock bottom. We're going to be seeing the beginning of the end, because Arsenal has never been relegated, and it's not a good gesture that they find themselves rock bottom. And the return of Cristiano Ronaldo, the fight for shirt number 7, I mean several things. I just tend to try to look at how will all this unfold, because the deep day is actually getting to tomorrow, because that's when the transfer windows are going to be closing.
Exactly. Now, when you look at what has been happening, let's start from home. Home always the best. We went to Midigo Yumbe, where of course Calvary was where we did our show from the first show that we had for the Whistle Time. But this time around, what you could see is that we went there, everything looked set. But up to now, players, some of the players even whom they say they have bought, have not yet returned, and there are those who have been with the club. They have not yet released them, but they have not also yet come back for the training sessions. What could be the problem in there? Talk about Ahmed, the captain, of course, on goal. You talk about Andama Sabir, who has been with the club. He's recently had to hand in a request of release. I don't know where that one happens in a player. Sometimes it happens anyway. But that is one of the things. Plus others, even the new names that they got from some of the names from Paida have not yet turned up. What could be the problem with these players, or what could be the problem with the club?
Well, when I look at issues around the clubs in West Nile, sometimes I don't know how they conduct business, especially the transfers. When I try to sum up, because remember, 4 players were picked from Team Paida Black Angels. We had Odagi Khalid, the central defender. There was Choka Julius, the defensive midfielder. And then you had Otinchim Eric, who's one of them. There was Dan Kidega, also in that team. But we expected them to have unveiled these players, because the new season is coming, and even the technical team. But up to date, we have not seen that happening. And again, one of the things, as I get to these issues of the transfer and the unveiling, I think one of the most interesting, if not disappointing, things I have ever seen in a transfer window is the issue of Junior, whom Arwah Hill signed before contacting the parent club. They unveiled, and then the parent club came out to say they were not contacted. But Arwah Hill wrote to them trying to request for the player, just saying they're going to give them 2 million. On the other side, they were saying that was foolery. They demanding for 20 million, which is in the release clause. And on the other side, you hear the CEO saying we are open for negotiation. You really don't know where exactly they're heading to, as if at one point they don't know where they stand. That's one of the things that makes me so disappointed. A player after getting unveiled, I don't know whether the advice from people around the club asking the player to now hand in a transfer request, everything becomes so confusing. And it's one of the things that really has disappointed me so much, especially in seeing how teams that are at some level try to take things in their own hands, not knowing that there are rules that are supposed to be followed. And again, the teams that are being taken for granted don't want to act. So at one point, you try to think as if there's an element of foul play, or as if it's just something. They are not ready to show us where they stand. As of now, we don't know where Calvary stands. We don't know where the issue of junior stands.
But could that stop any of those other players from carrying their normal trainings? Because now these ones are here. We don't know what is in their hand.
It doesn't. It doesn't really. When I look at this situation, even the players who are bought newly, I think for now, I'm not quite sure whether they've started training. But when I look at the other players who were with Calvary last season, and they still have running contracts, these players have not yet been summoned. Recently, I met Okumu Brand still with him, because I was asking him.
Abel is still with him.
Abel is still with him.
And Dame is still with him.
So I was asking, I asked him what exactly is still happening. He said he's yet to report. And yet the other day I saw Calvary having a friendly game with Koboko Rising Stars. So you tend to ask yourself, there is a new management, a new technical team on board. And I understood that the coaches were supposed to be having time with all the players for them to be able to assess which player is good for, or which player fits in our system, which player doesn't fit. Now, if you have a section of players who have actually reported, but there are others who have not reported, now it again starts raising questions of uncertainty. What is happening? What is going to happen to these players? Are we going to be witnessing a massive exodus of players, especially like what happened during Arua Hill Soccer Club, where so many names, so many players were released, and I know that's again another controversy. But still, I don't know where it lies for the clubs, for these players, because others are ready for training, and they're doing trainings daily, but the rest have not reported. Could it be that they are planning to again release these players? What is happening again? What would happen in terms of finance? How much are they prepared to settle these players? There's a lot that is left in the air, especially when it comes to transfers in West Nile. I think there has to be a lot of civic education, especially on how things are done and how transfer of players are supposed to be done in an organized way.
Exactly, that is one of the biggest things. Calvary Football Club from Midigo is the team we're talking about. But of course, if you leave that, there are still rumors and speculations surrounding the transfer in West Nile. Indicates that Onduparaka Football Club are trying to reunite with Amaku, who of course has been one of the key players for Maroons Football Club, and of course he has done a lot. And then of course, if you look at other names in there, the names that have been released by Arua Hill, some of them have appeared on their list according to the rumors moving in there from different local papers that have come through in there. One of them is Ogama Baden, who of course was one of, before when Arua Hill came in, he was the captain and assistant captain. He used to captain the team right there, but at this time round, he is one of the players also rumored to have been released. I had one-on-one with him. He had a lot, but of course he was within. He has traveled back to town, to Kampala, and then of course a couple of names have not come back. By the way, the training sessions of Arua Hill is now going around 2 weeks, but these players have not surfaced in this. So Arua Hill, Onduparaka Football Club linked with Ogama Baden. How would that be? Could he replicate what Gabon Living, who has now crossed over to URA, could he bring the same style? Because he's one player who is hardworking, who is pacing.
Well, I think all this depends on which tactician is going to actually come on board. There's some things that really surprise me a lot, especially when it gets to how football is actually managed, and how do you convince me that you start signing players before getting a
coach?
How sure are you that this player is going to fit into the style of play of the new coach, or whether even the coach is going to like this player at all? This is a player.
Is it because Onduparaka is very quiet? Maybe because they may be quiet, but you did see their work plan to unveil even the technical team, unveil the players. So maybe they already have a technical team, but they have not unveiled, and that is the team that is saying we need so and so.
It could be, but it's also good to do it formally. How do you start having players like, of course now we're looking at Baden, you've mentioned Amako Fred. Yes, all these players started with Onduparaka Football Club. But years have gone now. These are not the same players anymore. it brings us to, they might be the same players, but now the times have changed. After 4 years or so, trying to get back into the league and into the same team, the way you played then or the way you have been playing in Maroons could be a little different. It just brings me to another point. I mean, why is it that when players leave their parent clubs and go to go and compete somewhere else, they don't so much impress. Majority of them tend to come back and they think they're just stuck to their parent clubs. They think for them again to rejuvenate their career, they really need to come back. I've seen so many of these. When James Jakisa left Navy Central, went to Nyami Chivora, I think he hardly even made an appearance for the team. He came back to Navy Central, and again since then the other controversy with the Navy Central and Onduparaka. We've seen the likes of Per. They left, went to Vipers. Things did not work out. They still think they need to come back to West Nile. Muhammad Shaban almost was actually used to cross over to Arua Hill, but I think something did not actually work out there. So the bottom line is, I think there's something that really needs to be investigated. Why is it that when these players go outside, they really don't so much impress? Apart from the few that I've seen those days from the likes of Paida Black Angels, when they had the likes of Obose Abraham, they went and featured very well for Police. There was another one who played for Extras, but they were one of the few to actually have crossed from Paida and straight to the Hippos team and also made the senior appearance. That was Moses, Adon Moses. He's now in the US. And right now I also think one other player who is really trying his best is Rothemi Cromwell Abang. He's really up to the task. But when you look at players, look at the likes of Asiko Bashir. You even don't know whether Asiko Bashir is going to now play. Obenshan Philbert, I don't know what is going to be the next move for him. So it's really something that yet to be discussed. Could be a bigger discussion for another day. But still, I still think narrowing it down to Onduparaka, they should this time now get things right. The competition that has come for them, though it's healthy, but it's real, and they need to get organized now.
So that's one of the biggest things that we're looking at on Onduparaka. They're still silent, but of course came up with a work plan or the program in which they will be running the team. And certainly, of course, their PR department or the marketing head of marketing lost a father. He's so resting in eternal peace. Now that is one of the biggest problems right now at Onduparaka. Maybe after this they will be getting that tour that they're supposed to go to Kampala and have a 2 weeks training session before coming back to Arua in there. Maybe the team.
Now the big question comes there: who is going to be the one taking through these coaches?
Of course, before the training starts, they are going to on the programming. Before the training starts, they are going to unveil the team, the new signings, and of course, the training starts after unveiling of all those players.
You see, honest, that's where the discussion becomes very interesting for me. How do you start unveiling players first before the coaching?
But of course, on that lineup, there's technical and the players unveiling. So. Probably.
Anyways, the West.
But of course, that is one of the biggest things that will be coming through. And I want to say this is where we are going to be wrapping up the first hour of this show. But of course, if you look at all this, we are coming back to discuss how, of course, you think Uganda, what have they learned from the game they played against Ethiopia, and they lost the game 2-1. Remember, we are West Nile TV and the Whistle Time at channel 477 on Star Times. That's where you can get us, and of course our websites are very active. You can get all these interesting stories there, and then the YouTube is right there. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Then of course you can click on the bell to get all the notifications courtesy of West Nile TV. Stay tuned as we take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break, and you're still watching the Whistle Time on West Nile TV, channel 477 on Star Times, and of course on Facebook. Just go like to get the notification. Our pages always function, and of course a lot of stories keep dropping there every time. And now our website is at www.westnile.co.ug, and you get us right there. All informations will be given to you instantly, and on the YouTube channel, subscribe. Get the notifications, and you'll always be getting all the updates. We always stream for you all these activities we have right on our social media platforms. But I still remain Owen, and I have Oscar the Brazilian with me in the studios. Remember, yesterday Uganda had a 2-1 loss to Ethiopia. It was a very big one for them, as of course most of the players of course had to impress and show in how they are supposed to play. Ismail Watenga was the man who scored ahead of Lukwago Charles, who of course came in as a substitute. But of course that is not what I want to come to. What has Uganda learned from this friendly that they had with Ethiopia? Yes.
Well, I think to be precise, Uganda has learned a lot. One, they need to have an identity in terms of this style of play that they need to pick, and then besides that, they need to know which players fit where. I've been so much disturbed that we've been so much sticking to. We have only one goalkeeper that we have had outstanding for a very long time. Now that he's gone, the coach has to struggle which goalkeeper is actually going to take over from him. Not permanently, because it's just on competitive phases. We should have the likes. Who are those who are going to be playing as the centre backs? Who are those who are going to be in the midfield? Who are those who are going to be effective up front? So I think it's a work in progress. But this job has come from Mitchell at a time that he really needs to work things out so fast, because we have the qualifiers, and that's the only thing we are now actually relying on. Whether we can get that qualification spot or not is now all those things now depends on him. And things have changed. The players are not the same anymore in terms of their abilities. Others could have improved. Others could have dropped in performances. He worked with several other players before, and you have new breeds that are coming in. But again, one thing that Uganda really needs to do is investing in the young players, so that you can have players for the future. You can hardly see a setup where Uganda, maybe speaking at the Hippos team, that's where the under 21 to develop players who can play in the Uganda Cranes national team. Ghana did it. They won the World Cup under 19 around. I think that was in 2009. They won the World Cup under 19. And when you look at those players who won the World Cup, the likes of Emmanuel Ajemang Badu, the likes of the likes of Suleiman Montaris were in that team. A couple of other good names. Those are the players that made the transition to the Black Stars team, and from there they performed very well. In each and every World Cup, you would only look at Team Ghana, who would be the team that at least will go past the group stage, and they have been doing that. And that came up about how they invested in the youthful team. So in the Uganda setup, I really don't see much of us looking at having the youthful team, so that we look at them as players for the next generation. We don't see that, and that's where we always get stuck. We always shine in Sekafa, but when it gets to other bigger platforms, we don't play so much.
Let's talk about the departments in there. You look at the department. Let's start with the goalkeeping. Which goalkeeper would be your favorite, maybe to replace? Because you have Ismail Watenga, you have the man by the name of Charles Lukwago, who of course had the two, I could say, will be battling it so much in that team. Who would you favor? You've watched at least both sides. Though Ismail of late has been, he has not been in the country, but Lukwago, you've watched him.
Ismail is in South Africa. He's playing the PSL. Then you have Charles Lukwago is with KCCA. The other player that I thought could have composed himself of late should have been Salim Jamal. Jamal has been in that team for a very long time. I don't know what is actually what could be the challenge for him, because I expected him to have actually, with that experience playing outside the league. I think if I were Mitchell by this time around, I need to be looking at a player who is homegrown. I would look at a homegrown player. Could it be Charles Lukwago? Could it be? There are several players. There are several clubs that have good goalkeepers. You could start from here. I think the best thing for us now to do is also start looking at how effective is our league, because most times I see Uganda Cranes, we're looking at now, like the other time I saw Patrick Kado being summoned. I sat back, I was like, one day I will get into coaching. But I don't think I will be so much duped to be picking players who are even struggling to make single appearances for their parent clubs outside Uganda. Just because they're playing outside the country is not a guarantee that they are supposed to be summoned. But again, I was not surprised when he was dropped. I think that's a good gesture from Michel. Michel should be looking at there's a style of approach that Arrigo Sacchi, the former Italian national team coach, actually used way back. He was assisted by Carlo Ancelotti. The approach he used to have is to have he so much looked at the national team like a club. They will always have weekly training schedules, or ask clubs within local clubs to release players, because he wanted a formation. When he summons a player, he looks at the player's ability. He always wanted to create an identity. How were they supposed to play? They always had to bring them during at least every week. You have them come for training at least twice a week. They would train and they get off with that ability. And no wonder by then in 1994, in the World Cup that was hosted in the USA, they went up to the finals, only to lose to Brazil in the finals. And I thought that approach really worked, other than gathering players whose abilities are different. I mean, our national team coaches also don't travel to go and watch these players. They just based on so and so is playing, so and so is playing. I remember the other time Charles Milson Dawes was called to give his input which players are supposed to be summoned. So that means that they trust him, that he has a deeper understanding and the experience of how these players have been playing and their abilities. He knows them. They actually knew he was going to be of so much of a resource. So to me, I think one of the things we need to come back to the drawing table to do as a country is to sit back and see how we can develop the youthful setup.
Exactly, that's one of the biggest one. But of course, if you look at what exactly happened now, what still, as we wrap up this Uganda team in there, Eunice Sentamu was the man who got that only goal, that consolation goal for Uganda. He has kept scoring in the Premier League. He has been the top scorer. He has tried ever since he came back into Ugandan football. He is still trying to prove himself to the national team, still in there. Do we see him going to be leading the lines for Uganda this African, the World Cup qualifiers in Qatar?
Well, I think if he keeps up the performances, what matters so much is are you delivering? And as a striker, the number of goals, those tallies will always count. But also it depends on the other competition that will come from players who are outside. You look at the likes of Fahad Bayo. By the fact that he's playing in a competitive league that is so much better organized than the Uganda Premier League, I think they will always be one of those players who are coming to compete very, very well. Then you look at others, including, again, my disappointment is with Mohamed Shaban. By this time, the country should be relying on players like Mohamed Shaban. He's a good player, but on and off because of attitude and because of, he's just failing to grow up so fast. Not in terms of the biological growth, but I think psychologically, and again, composing yourself as a professional. Shaban should be further than where he is now. And I think the likes of Abang Cromwell should as well be given that chance, because if you were to ask me between Cromwell and this player of the one you mentioned, the one who
Eunice
Sentamu, I think by far, to me, Cromwell has a better attribute in terms of contributing to the team. He can contribute assists. He's versatile, can play even on the flanks. I think such players, we as a country are not doing enough.
Do you think Uganda is going to miss Bayo because he's not in the list?
Yes, it is true they're going to miss him. They're going to really miss him. Fahad Bayo is good in the air. He has a bit of physique. His positioning is improving. I think those are players we should be counting on.
Another striker there to talk about is Stephen Dezo Mukwalo of URA. He was also very much in that race, but of course things are still on his shoulders yet again. I remember from Vipers, he was also a player that was sent in here to loan, and now this time around coming to URA playing a very good football. And that is one player I'm talking about, Stephen Desom Kwala. He is another striker we could be saying that Uganda is going to be relying on, and we shall be seeing how exactly they run will be. They still will be having a friendly that will be coming through. That was the first one. Remember, the friendly that they were supposed to have in Jordan was cancelled. So we're waiting to see how exactly they will be progressing. But we are going to be taking a break, and we shall be coming back to discuss more of the international stories. Just like I did tell you, how about Arsenal, how about Manchester United with Cristiano Ronaldo? As I just talked, he has completed his medicals with Manchester United. Then the saga has come onto the shut number, and that is where we will be discussing Chelsea, Liverpool, and of course Manchester City. Tottenham Hotspur are some of the teams that we shall be discussing about. What about PSG yesterday having a very good run? What about the team Barcelona and all those? Bayern Munich with Robert Lewandowski, who also got himself already 7 goals in 4 matches. What about this player? Stay right hooked to your TV. Don't touch and don't really move anywhere, because we're still coming back with a lot more. This is West Nile TV, and it's the sports.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back, and let's just cross away. It's still the whistle time right here on West Nile TV, but let's cross away to, that is, German Bundesliga, where of course a lot of things are happening. Bayern Munich is at number 2, but of course they are trying very much now. The focus much is on the player who everyone thought that he's going to be leaving this season. Yeah, we're still left with 1 or 2 days to make sure that this transfer closes, but still, if you look at what is happening, you would know that the man by the names of Robert Lewandowski has already got 7 goals to his name in 4 games that he has played for Bayern Munich. This is one player very many clubs in England wanted, but of course due to age and other things, they had not gone for this. But this time around, he's still doing good for Bayern Munich. How do you see, because there's no other offer that has yet come, but he's still in the team, do you see him still taking the German Bundesliga top scorer seat this season?
Well, I think it all depends on how Julian Nagelsmann is going to actually use him. But he's one of those top-notch strikers that will always deliver for you so long as you get things right for him. He has very good abilities. In fact, he's one of the strikers that I look up to, who are, if you looking at complete strikers, he's one of them. Karim Benzema is one of them. You look at strikers like Alexander Lacazette is one of them. Sergio Kun Aguero is one of them. You could talk about age, but I think there's something that has changed this time. Back then, players who are aging, who are now reaching the age of 31, 32, would hardly even get moves with big money. They always be aiming at going to play in either going to the Chinese league or going to the MLS. But again, this time around, we're seeing Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of around 36. He's coming to United, around 24 million. That's a lot of money. You look at other players who are still who are making moves when they're actually aging. Edin Dzeko left to AS Roma, went to International at that age, and again still he's looking very very young. So I really expect Robert Lewandowski under the new manager to still push on well. And though I expected him to leave Allianz Arena this time around, but I think there were no concrete offers that came. Chelsea could have pushed him, but of course now they have Romelu Lukaku at that amount. You can't risk to have another striker because you have Timo Werner still there. And Real Madrid is not making that bid, because if you look at him and you look at their Karim Benzema, you're almost more or less looking at the same type of strikers. And if you look at PSG, they are not so much struggling because they still have Mauro Icardi there. They have Kylian Mbappe, though he's supposed to move to Real Madrid, but the move is yet going on because they have transfer deadline still going on. I think up to tomorrow. And I think there was no that serious offer that actually came on table. Otherwise, I expected him to be for another challenge, because he has already won the UEFA Champions League with Bayern Munich. He has won the German Bundesliga on several occasions. I would have loved him to test his abilities in the English Premier League. Though Manchester City could have been a perfect fit now that they pulled out of the race to sign Cristiano Ronaldo, and that's what prompted Manchester United to come and actually make that signing. I still expect that now they also failed the bid to sign Harry Kane. They could still tempt the Bosnian international. But none of these concrete offers have come, so you're still going to be seeing him staying there. And so long as he's there, I think he's still going to be as the top scorer. 3 games for already Bayern Munich, and they are number 3, and 7 points to their name right there. But of course, everything seems to be moving on well for that is Bayern Munich. Yet they will be seeing how exactly they will be finishing the season in there. And if you look at the group stages in the UEFA Champions League, you just also that's another one to watch in there, and that's one big thing. Now let's cross over to the game. Of course, Tammy Abraham also got a score sheet after leaving Chelsea. He's now getting a playtime with Jose Felix Mourinho at Roma. Could we say he has got his destiny? I don't want to say he has reached his destiny. You know, when you're playing under Jose Mourinho, when he likes you, he likes you.
Yes.
But again, there are moments when if he will fall out with you, then that is it. You look at the feud he still had with Luke Shaw. Even when Luke Shaw was performing in the Euros, he was still criticizing. They bring him as an analyst, he was still criticizing. But when I look at Tammy Abraham, he's a promising player. He's young. He wants to compose himself. He has gone to a league that is physical, a league that requires a lot of hard work, and again, he needs to really compete and to show his mark. The plus for him is that Jose Mourinho has believed in him and has made him a starter, which is now a good starting point for him. It all now depends on him whether he's going to improve each and every day. Getting the first goal was a good thing. We want to see him doing that consistently. Consistency is key, especially if a young player you want to. You've been brought to replace Edin Dzeko. You know, Edin Dzeko, if he's on the pitch, he's really going to perform. Yes. And you really have to come and start doing the same. You need to perform as well. So I think the opportunity is a good ground for him to make sure that he improves every day. Good enough that he's already scored.
They had a very great one, beating, of course, winning that game by 4-0, and that was another interesting one for them in there. But of course, let's cross over to England and see how exactly things are happening. One of the biggest is the game, of course, you saw in the weekend. One of the big games was the game between Arsenal and Manchester City. Then, of course, Chelsea had a game with also the team of Liverpool. It was a very big one, and you did see Man City winning against Arsenal by 5 goals, and team, of course, Chelsea having a 1-1 draw with Liverpool Football Club. Now, Arsenal still follow their race. They have gone 3 games beaten, and they have not scored any goal in the English Premier League. 3 games, they have no goal, they have no point. What does it mean? They are at bottom row at number 20. What does it mean for Mikel Arteta? What does it mean for Arsenal? What does it mean for the fans?
It means a lot for the fans. It also means a lot for Arteta. So from a fan's point of view, you would not want to see a team like Arsenal. Arsenal is a very big brand. It's not a small. Arsenal cannot even be compared to Manchester City in terms of pedigree. Arsenal is a very, very big brand. When it comes to even a team Spurs who are on table, Arsenal is by far a better team than Spurs in terms of pedigree. Look at West Ham, their London rival. Arsenal is by far better than them if you try to bring pedigree. Look at where Chelsea is. So I think a fan will not be happy to see Arsenal where they are, to see Arsenal rock bottom. It has never happened. In the last 10, 20 years, it has not been something like that you see Arsenal, after 3 games, they have not scored any single goal. It's so absurd. I can just imagine how the Arsenal fans are.
They have considered 9 goals.
9 goals. I can just imagine how Arsenal fans are actually feeling. I have my musee, Mr. Opio in Nepi. He doesn't. I don't know how he's coping up with this, but he has always not been okay with seeing Arsenal losing. Even when you're analyzing, he always wants you to point out the good things about Arsenal. But that is from a fan's point of view. You can know how passionate a fan is, and a fan wants to see something in terms of results. At least in 3 games, if you will pick at least 4 points, it's better. You start a season slowly, but again you pick up. But when you watch the game against Manchester City, you even tend to wonder, when is Arsenal going to improve? It's a question that you keep asking yourself, because if you want to know that a team is serious and they can challenge for a title, a team should stand out when it comes to tough situations. Like, let's say the situation where Chelsea found themselves in. Chelsea got a red card, and Chelsea still had to hold on for a point. That means that is a well-balanced team. The coach as well knows, if I have lost a man in the team, how do I now put my tactics right to make sure that if I am to lose, the margin shouldn't be that big, and if I am to do anything, I have to get something, even if a point in a game. You saw a game where Marcelo Bielsa for Leeds lost, got a red card, but still went on to beat Manchester City. Those are the type of things people want to see to test the ability of a manager. I've been saying this time and again. It seems Mikel Arteta doesn't know his team yet. You've been hearing players wanting to leave. Maitland Niles would most preferably also be wanting to leave. Hector Bellerin wanting to leave. We have now seen Willian already leaving Team Arsenal. So that really means a lot. That within these few hours, I should now say, remaining, when we're going to be witnessing the transfer window being closed, you ask yourself now, what will Mikel Arteta do? He brought in Aaron Ramsdale to Team Arsenal. That I thought Aaron Ramsdale was not even supposed to go for that amount of money. Nobody was asking for that player. Nobody was even competing for Arsenal with Arsenal for that player, and he went on to sign him in that. Samuel Okonga, I see he's yet picking up. Tavares is trying his best. Ben White. I thought Arsenal's problem at the back could have been solved by a long time ago, not wait at this time. Bringing players at 50 million. One thing that we've always seen with young managers, where they always tend to now get into, when they get on board, they try to work with available resources and they deliver. But now when they are funded, that's when trouble starts for them. When Lampard took over, when he left Derby, came to team Chelsea. Chelsea actually had a ban. They were not signing players, but with the Mason Mounts, with the players within,
he tried,
and he still pushed Chelsea to the Champions League. Then later, when he started signing now the likes of the likes of Timo Werner, started signing the likes of this one that he brought from the German Bundesliga, Kai Havertz. Players, it raises a lot of expectation. And
where he brought for himself the problem.
The players will have to adopt so quickly, because now they need a lot of. You don't have much time, because you proved without even signings, you proved that you can still take the team somewhere. But now you have the money, you have the signings, you're not delivering. So that's where now the pressure is for Arteta. Arsenal has spent a lot of money, more than any other Premier League team, and then you find yourself three games you have not won anything. I think that is so. But another thing also will come for the Manchester United coach, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
And that's where probably I want us to cross over. Manchester United had a very tough game yesterday. It was a very big game in the weekend against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and that's where probably things start. Cristiano Ronaldo has just passed his medical, and from Lisbon, of course, to Manchester United at Old Trafford. That's where probably he is now going to be making. But the question has been on the shirt numbers there. When we talk about the shirt number, where do you see Manchester United with Cristiano Ronaldo? How will he fit in the philosophy of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Will Ole survive the axe with all these players?
Well, I think this is going to be the toughest season, a tough test for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The first time when he took over from Jose Mourinho, I think it was a building process for him. And again, he didn't disappoint. Even last season, he still finished second. He tried his best. This time around, now just need a few pieces of that have been missing on the puzzle to see that he takes this team now. This team now is good enough to win the Champions League. This team is good enough to win the English Premier League. This team is good enough to compete and win the FA Cup. And this team is good enough, actually, to win Manchester United all the silverwares. So now, where the problem will come in for him, that you have Paul Pogba, a very good player who has composed himself very well, a talented player. He's a big name in the team, a name that can scare opponents when they come to face Manchester United. You have David De Gea is back to I don't want to say to but he's trying. You have one of the best right backs for me. There is nobody in one-on-one situations that beats Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He has proven that. Luke Shaw is back to his best. He's doing very well. He's becoming the Luke Shaw I watched at Southampton when he was still there.
I thought you were going to say the Euros.
No, he actually has in the midfield. You have Scott McTominay. You have Fred. They're equally doing their best. You have Bruno Fernandes who can create, go assist, and then score goals. You have the new Ryan Giggs. I know that United has now gotten a new Ryan Giggs in this player who scored for them yesterday.
Greenwood.
Mason Greenwood is the new Ryan Giggs at Manchester United. He has really replicated what Ryan Giggs was doing. He's a player that should be focusing on. And then you have the likes of Marcus Rashford in that team. I only worry for Anthony Martial because he may not get that playing time he wants. You have Cavani in this very team. Now you have added Cristiano Ronaldo. Tell me that you are not, the expectation is not for you to win the
league. You still have a Van de Beek somewhere.
So there's a lot. I believe this is the toughest season that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to face, because you need players who can play in Europe. Now you have them. You need players who can help you win the league, the EPL. You already have them. So what will be left? But I see United has a balanced team. They have a good team. It only now just depends, because at one point we were asking, as if the only thing remaining for them is to get a reliable goal scorer, a reliable centre forward. Now they have Cristiano Ronaldo, who can as well play on the wings, who can as well play as a centre forward. So you have this player now in your team. There will be no excuse for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Let's look at that. Cristiano's coming. Where do you see it affect? Will those of Greenwood still feature? Because if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, you look at Cavani up from there, you have Marcus Rashford, you have Jadon Sancho, who is one of the names in there, probably who will always want to start in there. All that. Martial is another player you're talking about. Which players are you going to see if Ole is to set up a steady team? Oh, this is my lineup, like how maybe Ferguson used to do for Manchester United. You know, this is the squad coming. Which players do you see affected? Because I'm saying one of them could be Greenwood. You've seen Martial, but do you think this will affect these players?
Well, the selection headache will come. As from a tactical point of view, I think the challenge would be for Ole to see if he wants all those players to be in the starting team. Then it's going to start making compromises, because you want to have most times I see him pushing Paul Pogba high up. That means mostly on the flanks, because he loves to always play in an advanced role. So if United will be just like I appreciate one thing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he has known that he only wants to have his identity, his style of play as a 4-2-3-1, and he sticks to it. That is what has been making him get the results, opposed to players like to managers like Arteta. Arteta today is going with the back three, the following times with the back four.
They went with the back five.
So you really can't know so much what the manager has in the plan, and it enables you as a manager to know which player fits well in this philosophy, or which player should I actually bring, not going to just shop generally. So he has had his style of play as a 4-2-3-1. So in the double pivot, he has either it is Fred and Scott McTominay, then he will push Paul Pogba high up. But at this time, I think if anything be, one of those will have to be sacrificed, either Fred or Scott McTominay, because you now have Cristiano Ronaldo, you now have Jadon Sancho, whom at all costs you may not want to have on the bench because you have paid a lot of money to get him. And you know, in terms of creativity, you always have to have him, because if you have Bruno Fernandes, he may not be the only player to create for you the chances. So you will need to have Jadon Sancho, which I would fancy will be played on the left-hand side. And then I don't think, in my sane mind, if I were Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I would temper to put Mason Greenwood on the subs bench. He's by far a better player than Marcus Rashford. Truth be told, he's a better player than Marcus Rashford.
For now?
He's a better player than Marcus Rashford, that's what I'm telling you. Because a player who is delivering, a player who is promising, and when you get him, he always stands up for the big occasions.
Yes,
one of the hardest things for youngsters has been trying to fit where there are big names and to deliver.
True.
It has always been hard. I try to see that in Mason Greenwood. Each time he's given an opportunity,
he delivers.
He delivers. So there's a threat for the people like Marcus Rashford. He's a threat for players like Daniel James. He's a threat for players like, of course, which other players can I put in? Because Anthony Martial is a threat for him. Because I know Cristiano Ronaldo will be so much fancy to play as a centre forward. They will always want to play him as a centre forward, because you can't now afford to have him play behind the striker where there's Bruno Fernandes who fits well. And I think there's going to be a lot. This is where the selection headache is going to come. We want to see what exactly. This is what tests the tactical ability of the manager. You have all these players at your disposal. They are good and they can deliver. Whom are you going to pick ahead of the other?
Ronaldo, Cavani. Who would you start? I
don't think by far Cavani can be ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo.
So you benched down Cavani?
He has been on bench even.
Do you think Cavani deserves the respect of shirt number 7 when the GOAT, just like people call, is back into Old Trafford? I'm talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. He said he needs this shirt number 7 back since childhood, but we didn't see him put on shirt number 9 at Real Madrid. So would you fancy maybe him being given the shirt number 9, or still given the shirt number 7? Because I saw something on Giggs wrote something.
So where will you take Anthony Martial then?
You change his shirt number? Or load him off? But that's the biggery. That is one of the biggest things that is going to be happening at Manchester United, because of the shirt numbers. It is already raising people's eyeballs. And Cavani didn't say he deserves respect because he had signed only for 1 season. So that 1 season, if you give him that respect, he needs to go. But very many fans will say they need the CR7 in there. Just to be told, they have made some plain shirts for Cristiano Ronaldo without the shirt number, but it's off stock. So that shows you how, of course, Man U is making money out of the merchandise. Now let's leave that there and go to the table toppers. I'm talking about Tottenham Hotspur, who are already on top. After playing 3 games, they have 9 points. They're doing very good under Nuno Espirito Santo, though their goal was only 1 in there, and Son Heung-min with a very, very good free kick that, of course, sent them on top yet again. What do we say from this current Tottenham Hotspur? Are you still ruling them out into the top 4?
No, I have never ruled Tottenham Hotspurs out of the top 4. They have always been a team that has had a balance. I remember that this team that was created by Mauricio Pochettino. He created a very good foundation at Team Spurs, and most coaches are just coming to make a few additions. The clever ones always get the results. I see that Harry Kane has been convinced that he can still stay at Team Tottenham Hotspurs because they want to challenge for the title, which I don't see as something that I can outrightly say that it may not happen. It can still happen because they've had 3 out of 3, and that's a good start for them. And I want to know with the next game, what are they going to do? Though by far to me, the most important player, I've always said, with due respect to Harry Kane and Tottenham Hotspur's fan, I am one of those fans of Tottenham Hotspurs. But there is no way Harry Kane can be better than Son Heung-min. The only way he's better is because he's not an English. or he's not a Briton. This is the same player. If he was not around, Tottenham wouldn't have gone up to the Champions League final. Look at when Harry Kane was injured. Who took the team on his shoulders? It was him. He has always been started in that role. Even when there was that saga that Kane can either leave or stay, he still carried on the team. He's a hard-working player. He's a very brilliant player that needs to be complimented. Him and Harry Kane can play together, but whether Harry Kane is there or not, he still carries on the team. Harry Kane is a good player. I respect that. Harry Kane can get for you the goals. I understand. But I'm looking at a player who has the heart for the team, a player who carries on the team and knows exactly what is demanded of him. When you need the goals, he will get it for you. When you need the assist, he will bring it for you. So Tottenham Hotspur this time around, I think they will be amongst the London teams that I can see in the top four. I will see Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. I am not seeing Arsenal in close.
Do you see possibility of Nuno, of course, getting the man Adama Traore? Because Adama Traore, after yesterday's game, he said he's still ready to push for a move off from Wolverhampton Wanderers to Tottenham Hotspur. And if he comes, who would be one of the people who will suffer? Because if he comes, he will love to be a starter in the team.
Adama Traore is a good player. But sometimes I get to wonder. I think Adama Traore is overrated to me. He's a well-built player. He has towering runs. He can get for you those good runs behind defenders. But have those runs been? Have they actually yielded into goals? How many chances did he create? How many goals has he scored?
In fact, he's not a goal scorer.
He's not a goal scorer. And again, he's not a team player. He's this kind of player.
Hit and run.
He just wants to put the ball in space to run. He's a basic player.
There, yeah.
Though you need, at one point, you need such players in your team, but I really don't think a player like that to me is so much, is to me not so much of a priority for Spurs to have him in their team. Maybe because of the coach who has handled him would think maybe I need this player to be in my team, but I really don't see him if you have to play that attractive type of football where you play tic-tac. That's why a player like him can't play at Team Man City. You can't.
The Man City talked about him.
No, they can't have him. They can't have him. I really don't think so. Because where will he actually play? Because for Pep Guardiola, you are supposed to be a ball player. And that ball player doesn't mean he's supposed to only put the ball in space. Pass the ball, and he can't be a good passer of the ball, but he's not a very good team player.
Okay, let's wrap this up, but it's just to tell you and remind you that of course our YouTube channel is functional. We can stream live on that is West Nile TV, and of course our Twitter handle is at West Nile TV, Facebook at West Nile TV, and at the same time our website is very, very functional. You get all the updates, all the latest stories right there, as we still have one more story to talk about now. This time around I want to take you to the team of course PSG, where the man by the names of Kylian Mbappe yesterday, after scoring a brace to make sure that PSG won their game 2-0, and he is still being linked with the move away from PSG. Do you see him go off PSG? And if yes, what could be the main reasons? Some people say it is because he has seen that Messi has come, and he will be playing in the shadows of Lionel Messi. Do you agree with people's opinion?
Well, where you see a player like Lionel Messi, of course you have to get worried. But I thought for a player like him, he's supposed to take up that as
advantage,
as an advantage and as a big challenge. Play with big names like that, so that you try to improve each and every day. Don't think you already made it, because players who have made it are there. So you're supposed to know, come up and try to prove yourself. I even don't think that any player can actually put him down. He's a promising player. He's been getting for them the goals. Last season was the top scorer. So I don't know why he's so much of a hurry, because even if when he goes to Real Madrid, I don't think he's going to be finding it easy as well, because Karim Benzema is there. And remember, Karim Benzema is also now playing with the national team of France. So they'll be competing. You need a game playing time. And I think under Pochettino, he fancies to work with young players. He still has it.
Okay, it still hasn't is one thing, but of course that is one of the biggest things that we'll be talking about, and a lot will be coming through. And just to give you a highlight or a hint of it is that if you've been waiting for maybe the Vocal Ringi at Liverpool, he is one player who will not be the first as team of Liverpool Football Club. 5 names are said to be leaving Liverpool. It's still before the deadline day, and we'll be waiting to see who could be those names right now. But before we wind this up, I want to say you can still grab up an offer, either cap or any of the offers or the prices from West Nile TV, and that is one thing you can do, you as the viewer. So just keep always watching, and 477 is the channel on Star Times decoders. You will always be right there, the satellite decoder, and you will always be very happy to win with us all the time. You can also send your messages and make sure that of course your messages keep rolling straight away. But let me turn back to Oscar and probably summarize it to the viewers. I know very many people from Zeru and Zombo did miss you a lot.
Well, for sana let me check my track in West Nile TV as you know kare mituguma walong waste of time linia NTA kare ma which nyamu ilembe mudo kumlem tugu e chakere tugumita de aruntu paka bi e ngomba mondo manike ipe kungechi nya iyenga ma eni obeshishizo ibaro koro manike oberi inebi obini pakwachi bende kama check meti ye West Nile TV obini bende.
Okay, what for me ngiri hali yebina betade adansi utitafa on matini dere awado what for me mini amane zudi West Nile TV adansi channel suwezi ziri the channel mina misuzuri odu guide kumalia katsa dusi amechekensi the movie West Nile Sports Ground awalia the golf na the chekensi yuki mingi amane mu iyo nzeti ni opangi madira mangeyonze iyo opangi malia sasa yabare kya ni ani mini channel su aziri the Star Times decoder malia mini tozo amane zumicho bina misu mutindundo adansi the platform amante the Facebook or Twitter and YouTube mariera nezumi abe tualo vita madria iyo titiri kisuzu pa ndodo maria odufemi na manesi kali mayemile emia TV be ogogo asonse yo mingi kinge mudi eli onyeronike program amavudi arikitria dini otozaro militozo aso amapia because thank you so much, and we want to say it is the end of today's whistle time, and this is West Nile TV. Stay hooked.